Have you ever realized there are times in life when you work twice as hard, but everything just gets messier? You think harder, try harder, stress harder, but things don't get better, they actually get more confusing. Then at other times, the same you just takes a slower breath, stops stressing for a second, and suddenly everything flows so easily you can't explain it. The weird thing is, nothing in your life changed. Only what's going on inside you shifted. Carl Jung believed people don't fail because they're not good enough, but because their minds get taken over by pointless stress. And it's that stress that makes you rush, look the wrong way, and mess up your own life. But the second you step away from all that noise, the second you're calm enough to actually hear yourself, everything starts falling back where it belongs. In today's video, we're going to explore the path Jung wanted everyone to understand, why the moment you let go of stress, everything starts lining up the right way. And here's the cool part. Anyone can get to this place once they see what really happens when your mind stops being all over the place. Ready to take this journey? A journey where one tiny shift inside can change your whole life? Have you ever had a moment when you stopped worrying and everything suddenly got easier? Share your experience in the comments below.
Number 1. Stress is made by the ego. There are moments in life when it feels like you're carrying the whole sky on your back. Some small thing makes you tense. A text with no reply makes you uneasy. Something that hasn't even happened yet is enough to send your mind spinning out of control. You think it's fear, but it's not. It's your ego. This small but loud part of you whispering, if you don't stress about this, everything's going to fall apart. Carl Jung said the ego is the part of us that thinks it's the center of everything. It believes everything depends on it, that if it doesn't control things, doesn't predict what's coming, doesn't stay on edge, life's going to go sideways. So stress isn't really your soul warning you, it's your ego freaking out trying to stay alive. When you stress, you're not actually worried about what's going to happen. You stress because you think you have to be in charge of every single outcome, even stuff that's totally out of your hands. The ego makes you believe the world is like a machine and you have to control every gear, like if you stop being tense for 1 second, the whole thing's going to break down and crush you. The ironic part? It's exactly that stress that makes you mess up, rush your decisions, ignore your gut, and accidentally create the exact things you're scared of. The ego doesn't know how to let go, because letting go feels like losing. But to your true self, the grown-up part inside you, letting go is when you actually wake up.
I once knew a woman named Marina, who was getting ready to present the biggest project her team ever had. She spent weeks preparing, but the closer the day got, the less she could sleep. Every sentence she practiced got interrupted by her own thoughts. What if I mess up? What if they hate it? What if I embarrass myself? The night before, totally worn out, she just gave up. She said, "I'm too exhausted to stress anymore. If I mess up, I mess up." The next day, Maria got on that stage and spoke clearer than she ever had, not because she magically got better overnight, but because when her ego finally shut up, her soul had room to do what it already knew how to do. What's the one thing you stress about most that's actually out of your control? Let us know in the comments. That's the whole point of what Jung was saying. The more you stress, the more you fail. The more you let go, the clearer everything gets. Picture holding a string and pulling it super tight. You're trying to keep it straight, trying to force it not to shake. But the harder you pull, the more it shakes. Life works the same way. You try to control it, and it slips right through your fingers. Only when you loosen your grip, not giving up on your goal, but giving up on being obsessed with how it turns out, can you actually see the path you need to walk. Someone who's stressed can't create. Someone who's stressed can't really connect with anyone. Someone who's stressed can't see the opportunities right in front of them. And that's why, when you stop stressing, everything starts clicking into place. Not because the world suddenly gets nicer, but because you stop fighting against the natural flow of your own life. When your ego isn't messing things up anymore, your subconscious finally gets space to guide you. Number 2, your subconscious only talks when you're not being loud. Here at SYC Soul, we dive into how the deepest wisdom inside you can only be heard when your mind gets quiet. Something strange happens when you start stepping out of your ego's stress zone. It's not like the world instantly gets easier, but inside you, this new space suddenly opens up. A space you never saw before because your mind was too loud, too rushed, too jammed with your ego's questions. Your ego talks loud. Your subconscious talks through your breathing. There are times in life when you can't hear yourself, not because your soul went quiet, but because you're living under this sky of noise, guesses you made up, fears you created yourself, all the "it has to be this way, it has to be that way" your ego keeps throwing at you. Carl Jung believed your gut feeling never yells, it only speaks to people who are quiet enough to listen. He wrote, "Inside each of us there's someone else we don't know about, and that inner person only comes out when all the noise dies down, when you stop forcing things, and when there's enough inner space for even the tiniest signal to get noticed." When was the last time you heard your own intuition clearly? Comment below and share what you discovered.
I once knew a woman who did interior design. She always felt like she wasn't good enough, not creative enough, even though her clients absolutely loved what she did. Every time she got a new project, she'd stress so much that she'd draw dozens of sketches, then rip them up, draw more, rip those up too. One day, after way too many sleepless nights, she just put her pen down and said, "Okay, I'm done trying." She made some tea, cracked open a window to let the breeze in, and just sat there. No thinking, no forcing, no pushing herself to create anything. 10 minutes later, while staring at a little plant on her desk, she suddenly jumped up and started sketching. That design ended up being the most popular work of her whole career. Not because she suddenly got more talented, but because her subconscious finally had room to send its message. Most of the smartest choices you've ever made never came from panicking. They came in those moments when you stopped forcing, when you went for a walk by yourself, when you were in the shower, when you watched it rain, when you just stopped fighting some pointless battle. When you stop stressing, you don't just get calm back, you get your vision back. You see what's actually yours and what isn't. You start hearing that deep voice inside you again, the one that got buried under all your ego's noise. Number 3, stress is your shadow trying to show itself. Once you realize your subconscious only speaks when your mind gets still, something deeper starts showing up. A lot of your stress doesn't actually come from what's happening around you, but from parts of yourself you haven't been brave enough to look at yet. And this is where you run into the main thing Carl Jung spent his whole life studying, the shadow. Stress isn't a heads up about what's coming. It's the echo of the darkness inside you trying to come to the surface. Carl Jung wrote, "What you push away doesn't just stick around, it gets bigger." The more you avoid a part of yourself, the harder that part tries to come out, not through soft whispers, but through stress, worry, and that weird sense of dread that keeps you up at night. What stress keeps coming back for you over and over? Comment below. It might be your shadow trying to talk. Pay attention. Every kind of stress has its own message. People who always stress they're not enough usually carry a shadow about broken self-worth. People who fear getting abandoned carry an old scar from being left. People who fear others don't like them are actually dealing with something sneakier.
They're the ones judging themselves. In Jungian therapy, a woman once told her story about how she'd always panic whenever someone went quiet around her. When friends sent short texts, she'd instantly think they were mad. When her partner got busy, she'd convince herself he was about to leave. She brought this stress into every relationship, making everything heavier than it needed to be. During one session, her therapist asked, "What scares you the most?" She started crying and said, "I'm scared they'll leave." But when they dug deeper, the real truth came out. She wasn't actually scared of people leaving now. She was scared of reliving that moment when she was 7 years old and her mom left for days without saying a word. Her stress didn't belong to today. It belonged to a memory. That's what shadow projection is all about. You're not stressing about what's happening right now. You're stressing about what hurt you before. Picture your mind like a dark room. When the lights are off, anything in there can look scary. You just see its shadow on the wall, all stretched out and weird looking. But the second you flip on a light, you let out a breath of relief. That thing you were terrified of was just a coat. When you heal that abandoned part inside, the stress goes away on its own. When you're brave enough to look at the shadow, you take back the energy that got stuck in it. And once the shadow gets seen, it stops demanding attention through stress. It softens, melts away, becomes part of you. Number 4. Energy goes where your focus goes. Stress drains your power. Ever wonder why some days you feel completely wiped out just from thinking too much? Like nothing actually happened, but your body feels heavy, your mind's tired, your heart feels drained? That's when stress turns into energy leak. Jung believed mental energy always flows toward whatever you're looking at. Whatever you focus on grows, even when it's fear. Stress doesn't drain you because it's so powerful, but because you keep feeding it your own energy. Every time you picture the worst thing that could happen, your energy gets sucked into the worst possible future you can imagine. Does thinking about worst-case scenarios drain you? Tell us in the comments how it feels. Someone who watches the channel once shared that there was a time when she always thought she wasn't good enough. So every time she got a project, she'd run through 100 terrible possibilities in her head. But the strange part? Even though none of that stuff happened, she felt as exhausted as if she'd just run a marathon. One day, instead of imagining the worst, she just focused on each tiny step right in front of her. "My energy came back," she said, "not because I got better at what I do, but because I stopped feeding things that weren't even real." Picture a water jar with a crack in it. No matter how much water you pour in, it leaks out. Stress is that crack. But when you stop stressing, the jar starts holding itself together again, and you feel lighter, clearer, more focused. Tennis legend Serena Williams once said what made her win wasn't being stronger or more skilled, but her ability to keep her mind from racing ahead of her body. "Where your mind goes, your energy follows," she said. "If your mind goes to fear, your energy leaves your body." You might be talented and hardworking, but if every day your mind runs toward fear and failure, your energy gets so scattered you've got nothing left to actually do something real. Sometimes all you need is one deep breath. Pull your attention away from the stories in your head and bring it back to this exact moment. Number 5. Stress exists because of the mask, when you live to please others. There's a sneakier layer of stress most people deal with, stressing about how they look to other people. This is where the persona, the social mask Jung talked about, starts controlling your emotions and your freedom. Modern people are exhausted because they're living like actors in a play they never wanted to be in. Every move gets measured by what will people think, and right there is where most of your stress starts. You're not stressing because something's wrong, but because you're scared people will think you're wrong. Do you ever catch yourself worrying more about what people think than what you actually want? Share below. Jung said the persona is a shell we need to get by in society, but problems start when we forget it's just a shell. When you think you are the mask, you become a prisoner to what everyone else thinks. One criticism can wreck your whole night. One offhand comment can make you question everything about yourself. A friend of mine named Linda would spend hours editing a photo before posting it, hours picking a caption, hours stressing whether someone would think she's trying too hard.
There was this one time she put together a gorgeous album from a beach trip, but because a friend casually said, "These photos don't really look like you in real life," she deleted the whole thing. Not because the photos were bad, but because her mask got hurt. Picture one of those fancy festival masks. When you hold it, it's beautiful, but if you wear it too long, you forget what your real face looks like. You start stressing if the mask looks good, if it fits right. The mask itself doesn't hurt you, but holding on to it so tight makes it hard to breathe. The persona works the same way. It only becomes a problem when you're terrified of losing it. And here's the twist. When you take the mask off, stress disappears. Not because the world suddenly gets nicer, but because you don't have to play a character anymore. You don't have to perform for anyone. You don't have to twist yourself to fit what people expect. You get to just be you. And when that happens, there's no reason to stress. Some people ask, but if I stop trying to please everyone, won't people judge me? Yeah, they will. People always judge. But the person who doesn't get hurt by judgment isn't perfect. It's the person who's not scared of being judged. Because judgment can't touch someone who sees themselves clearly. A truly free person isn't loved by everyone. It's someone who's not afraid of losing their image. Number 6. Your actions get precise when your mind's not stressed. The moment you stop protecting your image, you step into a deeper kind of calm, where what you do isn't driven by stress, but by inner clarity. And that's when something weird reveals itself. When you stop stressing, your actions become crazy accurate. Most mistakes in life don't come from not knowing what to do, but from mental noise. Stress makes you act like someone running in fog, running fast but having zero clue where you're going. Jung believed right action only happens when someone's calm enough to see what actually matters. What's one decision you made from worry that you wish you could take back? Share below. I once knew a woman who ran a small business. Whenever sales dropped, she'd panic and start throwing out massive ads, big discounts, non-stop posting. But the more she did, the more she lost. One weekend, too tired to keep going, she stopped and looked back at her old customers. She realized most of her money had come from loyal clients she'd totally forgotten about because she was too busy chasing her stress. That week, instead of launching more ads, she just sent 17 heartfelt messages checking in. 10 people came back. She said, "I spent 2 months doing the wrong stuff because of stress, and only 1 hour of calm doing the right thing." Zen Buddhism has this famous story. A student asked a master, "How do I know what action's right?" The master said, "When water's clear, you see the bottom. When water's muddy, you only see yourself reflected back."
The student asked, "So how do I make the water clear?" The master grabbed a bucket of water, set it down, and just left it alone. When the surface settled, the moon showed up in the reflection. He said, "Your job isn't to stir the water faster to make it clear, but to stop stirring." Stress is the stirring. And when you stop stirring, you see what needs to be done. When your mind's clear, you don't need to do more stuff. You just need to do the right stuff. One word at the right time can save a relationship.
One decision at the right time can change your career. One silence at the right time can help you dodge conflict. Picture an arrow being shot from a bow. If the archer's hand is shaking from stress, the arrow's going to miss. But when the archer breathes steady and lets go of the string calmly, the arrow flies straight. Life works the same way. Being precise doesn't come from being strong, but from being still. Number 7. When you stop stressing, meaningful coincidences start guiding you. And the moment you start seeing clearly, you'll notice something even stranger. The less you stress, the smoother life gets, in a way that makes no logical sense, like something's arranging things, connecting dots, putting events in exactly the right spots. Carl Jung called this synchronicity, meaningful coincidences, where the outside world starts matching what's shifting inside you. Have you ever experienced a coincidence that felt like it was meant to be? Share your story below. When you stress, you slam all the doors shut. Your mind shrinks down, and you accidentally block yourself from seeing opportunities. But when you stop stressing, you open up a new door, the door between you and life's hidden rhythm. I once heard about a young guy who hit a long, rough patch. He worked hard, but the harder he tried, the more tangled everything got. One day, too worn out to keep pushing, he decided to just pause everything and clean up his small life. He cleaned his place, called his mom, read a book he'd given up on. No expectations. 3 days later, an old friend randomly texted him with a collaboration offer in the exact field he'd been hunting for over 6 months. He said, "The thing I'd been chasing found me the second I stopped chasing it." That's synchronicity doing its thing. When you're calm, your nervous system lets your brain's clarity center turn back on. This helps you notice tiny connections you totally missed before. Inside, your mind clears up. Outside, opportunities show up. But really, they were always there. You just couldn't see them through all the stress. Synchronicity isn't magic. It's like 2 radio frequencies lining up. When you're stressed, your signal's all static. But when you stop forcing, you go back to your natural rhythm. You become like a sail that stops trying to push the wind around and just opens up at the right moment. Carl Jung believed synchronicity is how your subconscious talks to you through the real world. When you change on the inside, reality shifts too. Not through magic tricks, but through harmony. Opportunities you couldn't see become obvious. What you need shows up right when you're ready to receive it. Conclusion. When you look back on your path, you'll notice something delicate. The biggest breakthroughs never happened on days when you were stressed out of your mind, but in those moments when you were calm enough to look inward. Like a traveler figuring out the path never lights up when you're running, but only gets clear when you stop, take a breath, and let your eyes adjust. When you stop stressing, you're not running from life. You're going back to your ability to see what's been there all along, but got hidden by rushing, fear, and your ego's noise. You start living from a deeper place, where gut feelings lead, where your true self speaks, and where things line up like clues meant just for you. If this journey hit home for you, share the video so someone out there who's exhausted from stress might find what they need. And don't forget to subscribe to SYC Soul to walk with us through deeper insights on Jungian wisdom and the art of living peacefully from the inside out. Because sometimes just one small shift inside opens up a whole new path right in front of you.